Hello, everyone. Happy New Year and welcome to our first Ask the Expert session for 2024. Good morning, afternoon, or evening from whichever time zone you may be calling us in from today. My name is Rebecca Cronin, and I'm one of the Customer Success Managers here with the Altair team. Now, some of you might recognize my voice from participating with our onboarding sessions, or perhaps seen my name within the online user community. A reminder, the Customer Success team, we're here as another point of contact for you to reach out at any time with any questions or concerns you may have regarding Altair solutions, as well as if you're unable to get a hold of your account manager. We also provide assistance in receiving access to the user community, as well as the Altair One. Now, if you haven't joined the user community, highly recommend to do so, as well as subscribe to the Monarch forum group. It's a great way to participate and review some of your fellow peers on what type of questions and concerns they have regarding Monarch. We also have a team mailbox, da-at csm@altair.com. This brings me to my next point. In your control panel, there is a handout section. You will see a copy of today's PowerPoint that you may download. Included in this PowerPoint and towards the end of the session, I'll point out there's a list of various helpful web links to connect you to some of the different resources that are available, such as the e-learning, how to contact support, and etc. So again, we're very excited for you joining us today for our Altair Data Analytics Ask the Expert series. Our goal is to provide this open time slot where you can freely drop in, and we'll do our very best to answer the questions that you may have submitted. So today's topic we're going to review is highlight trapping from a PDF document that contains some 3 years of investment performance, and then how to create a data set to display the best returns for those different investments. Now, if you have a different question, it does not have to be, again, the topic that we're discussing. You can have any other question regarding Monarch, a particular function or feature you're trying to accomplish. It could also be about Monarch server as well. So again, this is for all things Monarch that we can do. So you'll notice there's a question or a chat section where you can submit that question and we'll review it. Now, if it's a question you'd like to have answered offline and private, then please add that phrase to be answered offline private. Otherwise, we're going to share it with everyone in attendance here. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our expert, Mo Abdolrahim. He is one of our senior professional service consultants. He's been with our organization for over 15 plus years, providing our customers with both on and off-site assistance. You might have had the pleasure of working with him and assisting with some of those projects, as well as you might see him participate in our user community. So with no further ado, I'm going to hand over the reins to Mo. So let me make you presenter, Mo. Just going to find it. Here we go. And we'll dive right into that topic. Yep.
Thanks, Rebecca. Let me share my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it looks like an investment sheet that you're sharing.
Okay, great. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining the Ask the Expert session. So for today's training, I'm going to pull data from three PDF reports. So these PDF reports are basically I downloaded from the company that manages our Altair 401k. The first report that I downloaded back, I think it was 2020, the very first report contained these dates, 2019, 2020, 2021. And also you can see on the left side, these are the investment options. And within each investment, there's a category like bond category. Under bond, there are many investment options. Asset allocations, there are 3, and some more. You don't see the whole report here. So when I first pulled data using Data Prep Studio, I hard-coded the year up here. But then the following year, when I pulled the next report, my workspace failed because I was just using the column name as like 2019, 2020, 20 or 21. So I had to rearrange it. So no matter which year I pulled the report, uh, the workspace would work. So I didn't want to hard code the year in the workspace that I created. Instead, I make it more dynamic, so that doesn't matter which year I pull the report, it would still pick up the right year and show the investments that performed well within the last 3 years. Okay, so for today's training, I am going to use basically, let's see if I can bring up Monarch Data Prep Studio version 2021, which is the latest version. And you can download that from Altair Marketplace. Okay, and again, I have 3 reports. So these are the 3 PDF reports. So let me just open one of them and show you. Again, you can see that this is from 2019, 2020, 2021. And my goal is to capture these investment reports with the last 3 years. Okay, and so let's just launch Monarch first. Okay, so I can obviously I can drag and drop the PDF, and then by the way, these are annual reports, so I'm not going to drag and drop all 3 PDF. It has to be individually, so I can drag and drop the PDF to Data Prep Studio, or you can just click on Open Report and PDF report and PDF, and just navigate to where the report is saved. Okay, so I'm just going to pick the first one. Again, when you open PDF report in Data Prep Studio, by default, it is open in document options. This is where you can change the PDF options. There are many engines. I'm just going to use a PDF engine 4.5 for capturing data from this report. If you notice that data does not quite line up, you may choose a different version, or you may play with the options to see how the data lines up. So for example, if I do always left align, it just shifts the data a little bit to the left. You notice that on the ticker that these ticker values are shifted slightly. Maybe that's not a good choice to use. But again, this is just, you need to just play with these options to see how the data lines up. And then once you are happy with the settings that you selected, then you just click on Accept button to go to Report Design in Data Prep Studio. So the first thing I like to do is just capture. So I'm going to pull the data. Basically, I'm going to create 2 models for this report. One that would pull the year, just the year, and the other one just the other informations like the investment data here. Okay, so I'm just going for the first one. I'm just going to select, pull, extract the year from here. So I'm going to select a sample, and so that's in order to create a template. There are 4 steps. First, you need to select a sample. Then you right-click on that highlighted line, and then select a template. So this is going to be my detail template. Okay, and then that's the step number 4. And optionally, you can rename your template. This is useful if you have marked many templates. So by naming your templates, you can easily identify which template extracts what data in the report. step number 3 is to create define a trapping. Okay, so this is my sample, and the line, the box above it is the trap box that I need to provide a trapping. So since this is always starts, like a expense ratio. So if I put in expense ratio, okay, so you notice that it's picking up this line that contains the year. Also, it's also picking up that line. So if I just don't want to select each year individually, so I'm just going to select all 3 of them as one field, okay, and call it years. All right. And then change the type to character so I can see the 3 years here. So as you notice that there are 3 rows here. So if but I basically need just 1 row. I don't need all 3 rows. So although, I can take this to prepare page and maybe filter it, add a column header, and then add a filter that just give me the first row, okay? Because all I need is just the first row. But this required a few more steps. So maybe I need to create my trapping or template. So it would only select 1 row as opposed to 3 rows. So I'm just gonna go back, not doing this method. Go back to report design. So instead of selecting that, let me just reduce the size so we can see the entire sample here. Okay, so instead of selecting just that row, now you notice that there is a blank row after the year, and then it starts with a stable value. So if I select, instead of 1 row as a sample, I'm going to select 3 rows as a sample and replace the sample text with a new sample, which now has 3 rows, okay? And I'm going to change the trap, not on the first line. So I'm going to reset fields and reset trap. So instead of applying the trap on the first line, I'm going to apply the trap to the 3rd line, okay? Now, it's going to select 3 lines because it found on the 3rd line, it finds a stable value. And that's it, because that's the only stable value is the only reference in this report. So now I can just select my field, the field that I need to select, and call this years. Change that to character, accept. And I don't need to run it through report verify because I know it's just selecting that. It's a 3-page report, the 3 pages report. So and then accept. Okay. So this would be, the table name would be TBL header, I call this, or years. And so first, I'm going to clean up this field and create 3 separate fields using either clean consecutive spaces in between, and then clean leading and trailing spaces. Then use a split option from the left side, and the split would be a space. And I want to just make that to exactly 3. The split limit should be 3, no more than 3 fields, okay? And then original, remove the original column. Okay. So now I have these 3 years. So now I have a row. I want to change, convert that to columns. So therefore, I need to use on pivot. So if you have a rows and you want to change that to 3, to these 3 that row to two columns. You can use unpivot option. So I get attributes for year 1, 2, 3, and then value. I'm just going to change that because I know this is years. Okay. So this is the first model that I created. So it just pulls the years. Now I'm going to create a second model that pulls the actual investments and the data. Okay. So I can basically duplicate that TBL header here, and let's just call this detail. Okay, it's the same report, but we are just going to do a second model. So going back to report design. So my detail this time, it's going to be each investment. Okay, so I'm going to select each row, the investment row, and again, since I already have a detail, I can just replace the sample text here, and then reset field, reset trap, okay, and then change years to investments for the detail template. So to trap that, basically the date are nicely lined up. So I can just use the date to trap each line of the investment. So that will be number trap followed by a dash, number dash number. Okay. Let's just reduce the font so we can. Okay. All right. So I captured every line. You can see that every detail line that should be highlighted are highlighted. Okay. Then selecting step number 4 would be just selecting fields. So this would be investments. Okay. And these are optionals. I'm not going to be using it, but obviously, if you need other, all the data, you can select them. Ticker and the inception date, the gross net expense ratio. So basically, I'm just going to, instead of, let me just close this gap so I can. So, okay, so this is because I define that field, and I did not click on the check mark. So whenever you create a field, you have to accept that there's a check mark comes up here. So for the next field, instead of selecting all these fields, and for the interest of time, I'm just going to select all that as one field. Okay. And call this others. So accept that. What I'm interested is the last 3, columns that contains these return values. Again, just like the years, because these may change, may have a negative sign, might be 4 or 5 characters. It's just I just don't know. So I'm just going to select all 3 of them as one field. Okay. Then if I need other, obviously I want to select the category, investment category. Okay, so again, I select the sample, stable value. In this case, there's only one investment for a stable value, but bond has many. So this would be append, because a stable value is above, or the investment type is above the detail. So I need to select an append template. And this would be, I call this investment type. Okay, and I'll tell you what I call it, just investment type. Okay, now, so this is my sample. I can also use the auto-defined trap wizard to trap it, but it may not do, I don't know how good a job it does. Obviously, you can see that it's just picking up, although it is highlighted this line, but it's not going to pick up that line, okay, because of the detail template, because this line of append has no detail underneath, whereas a stable value has a detail. So it will pick up that, for that detail will pick up a stable value. Since there is no detail here, basically it just ignores it, okay? As a matter of fact, it might do a good job. Again, it highlighted this line, but because there is no associated detail for Altair salary reduction profit, therefore it just ignores it, okay? And then, so it only picks up the append or investment type when there is a detail. Okay, I was just gonna do something different, like, you know, add in a bunch of spaces, where, because you notice that these investment type, just the type name, and you know, the rest is all spaces. So I could just add spaces here, but I can just deal with, you know, I think that this trapping is just fine. So I just need to select the value, something large enough. Okay. All right. So you notice that it ignored investment option. You don't see it because there is no detail. If there was a detail here, then it would also pick up the investment options. But you can see that under preview, stable value, there's only one, and there's a bunch of bond type for different investments. Okay. I think that's all. Obviously, I can select, you know, the dates up here. That would be another append if I wanted to select, you know, ending date, beginning date, you know, these dates. But for now, that's good for the demo. All right. Again, let's just run this through verify, since I have two templates. So the verify assumes that this append should be much larger. Obviously, you know, this is not an investment type, therefore it can be ignored. Okay, and it's not also picking up by Data Prep Studio. All right, so verify looks good. I can apply it and then accept. All right. Now the reason you see this dialog box map columns, because I duplicated the header table and call it detail, and basically it doesn't see these years. Instead, it sees you know, new columns. So I'm going to select new columns, and it is just going to ignore that years. Actually, now I can think about it. So I made a mistake, because in order to utilize these change lists, if I name that column years, then it would automatically apply it here. So let's go back to table report design and change the values to years. And the years this has to match. In other words, I use uppercase Y and the rest are lowercase. So I have to use uppercase Y, except, and then except here, and then add the years here. So now you notice that the change list that I created here also work on this model or this data set. Okay, so now it extracted all those three values in their own columns and call it years. Okay, so so now I like to also unpivot this and make these three columns, make it as a row. So I have three columns. I want to make it as a row. Create it on pivot. So would be these three columns would be rows, and then select the rest of them. So I have attributes and value, and here I have attributes and years. Okay, so the attribute, now I can join these two tables because attributes year 1, 2, 3 matches attributes year 1, 2, 3, and then I can bring in the years, merge them to this table. Okay, so let's just create a join table. In fact, let me just rename, because I like to rename the table. So this is, so I know which table I'm working with, detail. All right, now let's do the join. All right, so I'm going to be using just the inner join, which basically, if the key matches, it will put the rows, display the rows. If the key doesn't match, it will ignore it. So my join keys would be attribute from both tables, and I don't want to include this attribute here, just the years. And in fact, I don't even need that attribute. Okay, so I can just say don't display that, and you can just leave that as join the table name. So let's go back to prepare page. So you notice that now I have my values, I have my years here merged together. Then the next thing I want to do is just basically sort them. However, I want to sort them by investment type. But if I sort them by investment type, these are characters. So I want to sort them in the order that's are in the report. Like basically, the stable value would be first, similar to what I showed you here. The stable value first, bond next, asset allocation third. But if I sort them by this column, it won't be in that order. Okay. So for that, I will create a lookup field. So you just click here, column, and I call the new lookup columns. And so I can just, so this is the field that I want to bring in, investment type character, import it. Okay. So the first one, I want to just put a numeric associated with a numeric value, like 1 would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I noticed that I have an issue here, although this is probably picked up. So this is not an investment option, okay? And I didn't realize that. So let me just also do minus 99. So in case if one of these numbers are not found, it just displays minus 99. Okay, so this specialty, obviously these are wrong. The reason this is happening is I didn't realize that, and that is because I used the wizard, and obviously it picked up this. Although maybe this is, I may have to look at that to see if that's actually, yeah, maybe that is right. I have to look at the report, but I didn't notice this specialty. So let's just go back to the investment type. Just change that to 8 and then 9. Oops. Okay. So then I'm going to, oh, I forgot to rename the column. So let's just call this investment type numeric. Okay. Then these values, obviously, I want those to be also numeric. So I change that to numeric as opposed to character. Okay. So let's just move this before I create a pivot. I'm going to move this to the beginning. Okay. So I have the investment number and the year and the investments. Okay. But I want basically, so I want to now sort that. Oops. And by the way, every now and then, make sure you save your workspace. Even like, if Monarch Data Prep Studio crashes, it will create a crash file on the desktop and you can reuse it. And you may have all the changes in the crash file, but I recommend that periodically you just save your workspace. Okay, so now I like to sort this by investment type and then year. Okay, so and the value. So investment type, you can ascending. So let's just change the value to the descending because we want the best performing value on top. Okay. So now you can see that the investment characters or these are on top. Bond is next for last 3 years. Okay. Oh, so I really don't need these columns. So I'm just going to delete them or hide them. So now I want the best performing investment for those 3 years. So for that, I'm going to create a duplicate. Duplicate offers 3 options. Okay, keep the first row. Obviously, this is the one I want. Or show all except the first row, or just mark the rows that have duplicate data. Okay, so I'm going to select keep the first row, and then I want to duplicate by investment type and years. So it's looking for these 2 columns. If they're duplicate, it just keeps the first row and ignores the rest. Okay. So therefore, I have those 3 years for a stable value, and then these are the bonds for the next 3 years, and so on and so forth. Okay, so then the final table would be a pivot table. Okay, because now I have these rows, I want to change them to columns. Okay, so I use pivot. So my pivoted field would be years, because basically I want for each year I want to have a separate column: 2019, 2020, 2021. Okay, so therefore a year would be the pivoted. So you just click on the pivot button for years, and for the other, and then I can group them by investment number, investor number, investment type, number, investment type, character, and also investment. These are hidden columns. I don't need that, but I like to add, include the value, and I don't want sum. I want just the first value. Okay, and disable column suffix. So this is, I make sure this is checked, because then it doesn't add the suffix to the field name. Okay, so basically it will show me the investment for 3 years, the best for the best performing investment for these investment categories for the 3 years. Now, if I bring in another report, so in order to add another report and remove the old report, you can just do this. Basically, go to the table that associated with the report and select Edit All File Path. Okay, because this model, particular model, has 2 passes or 2 mod. This workspace has 2 passes or 2 model, and by choosing this option, it replaces all the reports that reference in this workspace. If there are multiple references, it replaces them all. So let's just bring in 2022, and then OK. So now you can see that basically the pivot table now shows 2020, 2021, 2022. As long as I don't reference these columns by 2020, it should work. But once I reference, let's say 2020, and I try to bring in another report that doesn't have that 2020, then the workspace fails because it cannot find that report. And then I can just go back, grab the next report and bring in 2023 and pivot. Okay. So by doing this, make the column header dynamic, so I don't have to hard code it, and then basically you can, if you need to automate that, obviously you have to drop one report at a time, and you can export that to an Excel file, and then keep appending to it to an Excel file. So for example, if I go back to the original report, and then export, okay. So I'm exporting the pivot load plan or table, and no filter, no sort, include column headers, overwrite the table, okay, and go back to prepare page. Obviously, this next 2 steps, it's going to be manual, basically, but we can automate that in Automator. and then go back to pivot, export. So before I run the second export, I don't want to overwrite it. I want to keep the file, but I want to append to the table, and I don't want to add the column headers. But then could be an issue, because now I wouldn't see these are for different year, unless I have some method to have these, or I can just add column headers. Okay. Oops, maybe it doesn't like adding column headers. Let's see. All right, so it did, because there was already a column header. There was already a column header, so I didn't like to add in a column header. So this is, let me just bring up. So we can see that here, obviously we don't see the second year in Excel file, which can be a problem, but we have to have some other solutions to add the column header. Or maybe create three separate, instead of having appending into same tab, we can export it to three separate tab, for one for each 3 years. All right, so I see a question there that it's asking for recording. I don't believe we are recording this session, Rebecca. Oh yeah, we are recording, right? Yes, we are recording. Yes, so I think you can.
Yes, it just takes time to get. I have a team member that's supposed to compile. They're a little running behind, so as soon as we can, we'll try to get this uploaded to the user community.
Okay,
great. But the other part of the question was if there's a way we can get a copy of the data set, and perhaps I'm guessing the model as well. We can maybe attach it to the blog post announcing this session.
Yeah, sure.
I want to ask you if that's something you'd be okay to sharing.
Yeah, sure. Because this is actually, I use this for my Monarch training. It's part of my training materials. So yeah, it's
okay.
Not
yep.
I can.
So yes, if you can zip that up for me, and what we could do is maybe attach it to the blog post announcing this training session.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
In the Monarch forum group. Yep.
Okay.
And then the recording, like I said, we'll try to get that compiled and uploaded as a KB article.
Okay, sounds good. So that's pretty much it I had, unless you have questions that you want to ask. I don't have anything else to add to this.
And again, doesn't have to be a question about this session. If there's something that you wanted a little bit more clarification, please feel free to throw that into the that question panel. Or if you wanted to ask your question live, you can go ahead and raise your hand.
I want to go, oh, okay, specialty. All right, so this is, yeah, this is another options. I kind of missed it when I was working on this report. I was just checking to see if this is a investment category, specialty.
And it is.
And it is, yes, obviously. So, okay, well, yeah. So, and by the way, if you basically, if you need any of this, you want to do analytics on this part, these others, one way to do it is you can select it and then create a table from selection. But the problem with this is it's static. So if I click here, it just creates a table that I can then pull data from it, but it's static. If I load a different report, this table will not be updated. It's best if you, instead of create a static table, just duplicate that table. Now you have access to that others, and then you can basically maybe use a split to split the data, or just go to report design and create a separate field for each columns and then come to prepare page and then manipulate data. And another nice features in Data Prep Studio is a statistic. I don't know how many people use a statistic, but you can use a statistic. For example, if I want to find out in the investments column, what is the maximum characters in that column? What is the minimum character? How often that data is used? You just use a statistic. So it will tell me that, the maximum length of the data in this column is 47. And then the minimum is 18. This is in case if you want to create a calculated field and you're not sure, how many, what is the maximum number of characters in that field. Just take a look at the statistic and it will give you that information. Okay. And what is the average length? If there are any null values. So if you're wondering if in the column there is any null values, look at the statistic. And then it will tell you, most frequent word use, unique values, all that information. So this is for, character. Obviously, if you have numeric field, it just provides a different statistics. Okay, kind of useful.
So if there's no questions right now, let me go ahead and launch the poll question while we have everyone here. And so if you had your screen in full view, you'll have to minimize it to make your voting selection. So this is for our topic for next month. So would you like to dive into advanced field properties? Would you like to review the DPS summary enhancements? Would you want to receive an overview of our report warehouse? It's a component of Monarch server. And if none of these topics are of interest, if you select other, when the session ends, you'll receive a closing survey where you can comment in for the extra, it's also asked for extra comments, put in the topic that you'd like to try to review, and we'll then add that item to be voted for February's topic. So I know we're about 80%, so give a couple more seconds there for folks to make your selection, which topic is important to you that you'd like to review. And again, whatever topic's not selected, it'll continue to roll over to the following. We do hope this new date and time works for you. I know we've cut back. It's just to try to increase our attendance. So please spread the word. And so I'm going to count down. We'll do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so our next topic for February is to review is advanced field properties. So I don't know if anyone has thought of any questions in the meantime. What I'll do is bring up our little slide deck, do a little quick review so you guys have some time to think of questions, throw in the chat, raise your hand. I'm going to just take over the screen for a quick second. So again, if you did not have the opportunity to download that PowerPoint, included here, as I mentioned, is these helpful web links if you haven't seen these resources. If you ever have any technical issues, you need support, right on the home page, you can either create a case or contact support. It's chopped off, but up here underneath your name when you log in, there's create a product case. Monarch forum group, as I was mentioning early, so the blog post that we announced, I'll try to get that file from Mo. We'll try to put it there. Make sure to subscribe. You can receive these notifications. Documentation, it's a great resource, especially the help guide, walk you through some of those neat functions that Mo just described with the pivot and duplicates. In the community, there's this Altair Exchange. It's a link to the Monarch model library. And if you're in the Monarch forum, it'll actually take you to this Monarch model library section. There's over 2,500 pre-built models and workspaces, kind of give you a jump start. Then e-learning center. We were hosting last year live classes, but again, attendance was kind of low. So right now in the course schedule, we don't have any live classes coming up. Maybe we'll reevaluate after the summer. But you do have access to our e-learning modules. Do a search for Monarch, and you can see the individual courses like Classic independently, Data Prep Studio independently, or the whole complete will give you both components. Marketplace, as Mo was mentioning, that's where you can find the latest Monarch clients. I know this is an old screenshot, but we are at version 2023.1. If your organization has not had the opportunity to leverage a complimentary onboarding session, the customer success team does provide that. If you do own Monarch server, we also have a quick little overview of that as well available. And upon those sessions, if you were to schedule, we do have a complimentary working session. If you love Monarch so much, we greatly appreciate if you come in and give us a review on this review Gartner Peer Insights. Let others know how you like the product. And as mentioned, we are going to be offering these sessions once a month, the third Tuesday of the month. Hopefully that works with everyone's schedule. Our next one's at February 20th, and we'll be covering that advanced field properties. And so another question about the recording. Yes, so we won't be emailing it. Like I said, we'll try to get that compiled as quickly as we can and get it uploaded as a KB article. Those that are in attendance, what I'll do is make sure that once it's uploaded, we'll just send you an email that, hey, go take a look at the KB article section. So I appreciate your patience while we get that compiled and uploaded. We have 6 more minutes. I don't know if anyone has any other questions they'd like to ask. We can unmute you. You raise your hand.
Rebecca?
Yes.
So I just want to tell users that when you receive the workspace and you try to open it, you will get a red button on the table list that says find missing files. Then you just click on that and just select one of the PDF reports. There will be 3 PDF reports for 3 years. So you just select one of the PDF report that is on your PC, and then it should be able to access the PDF and displays the data correctly.
Perfect. Yes. Well, just no questions. We'll give everyone back 5 minutes. Thank you again for joining our first session of the year. Hopefully you found this helpful. For those that had voted for the other topic idea, please make sure to stand by for the closing survey so you can comment that suggestion. And we'll see you in February. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mo. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.